So we should be officially streaming. So let's just hop in here, right? Keep There we go. Alrighty then. Howdy, Space Rangers. Captain Phoenix here, and surprise, surprise, we're back with another stream. Due to popular demand on my channel, I was on my community post, which honestly, if I am able to just go here, open my YouTube studio, go to posts. Yep, I made a post a while ago, a poll a while ago. How long ago was this poll? 2 weeks ago, damn. And I asked y'all if you wanted me to do a stream for y'all. Like, hey, do you wanna see me live stream the Ninjago seasons, or do you wanna live stream the ranking of the Ninjago seasons, or do you just want me to post the thing? Because I already did rank them before, but it was just kind of whatever. I just felt like updating my thoughts. But then I realized I haven't ranked the Ninjago seasons since Crystallize came out all the way back in 2022. So I figure, oh wow, it's been a hot minute, like a real hot minute since I've talked about all the seasons of Ninjago, either my new thoughts on them or my my retrospective thoughts on them, or just like the vibe I got, or if my opinions have changed. So I figured it's been a good 3 years since Crystallize came out. We've had Dragons Rising, an entirely new sequel show, come out, and it has its own 3 seasons, so I figured why not rank them. So that's why I asked you guys, and I got 4 votes. Wow, so big for a channel like mine, but it was 100% in favor of a live stream. So here we are, we're back with the live stream, we're back with my hats, we're back with my cool RGB microphone, which I love it so much. And I figured we'll have a special guest on talk today, that being my Funko Pop. This is my Black Fash Funko Pop that I won at Comic-Con. And I figured, you know what, I'm feeling a very nerdy mood today. Why not display it for y'all to see? Also very heavily topical, because apparently Funko is going through like a money situation right now. They're kind of going through a crisis. I'm not a huge Funko fan. I just heard about this last night. But yeah, apparently Funko is going through it right now. So I figured, why not just have it here for the vibes? Let me just make sure my audio is good. All right, cool. We're good. All right, sorry for wasting y'all's time. But without further ado, let's get to the Ninjago tier list. I don't expect this to be a long live stream. I am talking about Ninjago seasons after all. There's like 18 of them we need to cover. So I figured let's not waste any time and then hop straight into it. So first we have the tiers. Now, because this is Ninjago, and you guys know I am very close to Ninjago personally, I do not want to just go in with the normal S, A, B, C tier. I want each tier to be its own thing. Where I give it a fun name, because I figure, you know what, we're here to have fun. I've taken a good chunk of my day to do this. Let's have fun with the actual tier list itself. So we're gonna name each tier, and I'm gonna name it on camera. If any of you, I'm gonna open my chat actually on my phone just to keep alert of anything. But if any of you do have like better ideas for better names for what I should name these tiers, basically what S tier should be called, A tier should be called, please let me know. I will honestly change at this point. Any engagement is good engagement for me, which is honestly just showing how desperate I am, because I normally don't do live streams. As you guys know, I normally stick to my edited videos because I think those are more fun to do, especially my video essays, the ones that just like do character studies or reviews or fun reviews. I don't know, I've lost the charm on doing like fun reviews, like pulling clips from different movies and shows and just making jokes, but I'm not a nostalgia critic, so I don't know how to make that many jokes like that. Long story short, you guys know I much prefer making my edited videos over doing live streams, because even though the edited videos, I have to go through writing a script and then editing, recording, and then editing, which eats up all the storage on my phone, because yes, I still edit on my phone. I do think it makes a better product at the end of the day, and I get to what I want to say faster. Whereas on live stream, again, it's just me rambling. But you guys did ask for this, so I guess here we are. But yeah, on live stream, I tend to just ramble a lot more, and because I don't do live streams that often, it's very hard for me to find the time to do a live stream because I just have personal stuff in my life I have to deal with 24/7. So even me doing this right now, like I'm extremely lucky to get this time right now to do the live stream, and because of that, I don't normally because yeah, and that's the thing is that YouTube isn't my job. It's very much a glorified hobby at this point. It's just something I'm really passionate about, and it's really something I push my passion into with every video I make. I do want every video to be a good video, but at the end of the day, I don't make money from YouTube. And as such, I can't make it my job, nor can I make it my number one priority at any time of the day. Therefore, long story short, I can't just say I'm scheduling a live stream to go up at like 7 p.m. Sunday. Because 7 p.m. Sunday, I'll probably be busy with something else. And I can't push that aside because that takes higher priority over YouTube. Me doing YouTube and me uploading videos is a luxury I get to enjoy. And that's why I can't schedule live streams. I don't let you guys know when I'm doing live streams. I just start the stream and hope someone hops in. Maybe once I reach 1,000 subs and I start making money on YouTube, I'll take this a bit more seriously. But as it stands, we're just kind of here. So, without further ado, let's get back to the topic at hand, where I want to name each tier, because we're having fun here. I want to have fun, talking about the seasons, giving my thoughts on them. I'm keeping the chat open in case anyone wants to talk about the garbage hot takes I have. But I also want to name the tiers. We're not just going to do SABC. We're going to do... I'm gonna name each tier a fun little pun based off the season. So, like maybe we'll have season 1, Rise of the Snake, so to be Rise of the Seasons or something. But that's what we're gonna do. So I don't know. I do have one idea. I don't like. I haven't come to the idea. I haven't premeditated this. But I like to color code them as well. Gray for just absolute worst. This one will be. Oh wait. I actually have an idea. S tier. S tier is gonna be yellow because yellow is my favorite color. This one's gonna be Master of the Seasons of the series. Get it? It's like Master of the Mountain, but Master of the Series. I'm funny. I'm so funny. I'm trying to think. There was another season. Oh, here we go. That's the one. That's what I wanted F to be. I wanted F to be Prime Failure. Get it? Like Prime Empire, but Prime Failure. Yeah. You know what I'm saying. Then I think A tier can be Sons of Peak. Get it? Sons because it's secondary to the main tier. So, we'll have it be Sons of Peak. What else? What's another fun season we can make fun of? We have Hunted. We have The Island, Seabound. We have 2 seasons with Bound in them, Skybound and Seabound. So I guess Bound to bottom place. I don't know. Let's see, Rise of the Snakes, Legacy of the Great Ninja. I think Rise of the Snakes would be pretty cool. How many tiers am I thinking here? There's 18 seasons, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 tiers is fine. That way, if push comes to shove, every tier gets at least 3 seasons in it, average. So I think that's fine. We can stick with 6 tiers. So I'm trying to figure out what I named the other ones. You see what I'm saying? Like it's better I just come up with things. This one I'll say it's Bound to Mid because it's a mid season. Get it? I suck at naming sometimes, honestly, and I'm not usually bad at it. Like if you give me enough time, I can name something great. It's just, ugh. This one can be Rise of the Seasons. Why not? That's just gonna be a fun name for now. I honestly don't know. I'll probably change these names like by the time I'm done with this video. Like by the time I shut off the live stream, I'm gonna name every tier list, and I'll pretend I never did this before. But we're here to have fun, guys, aren't we? Flash. We're here to have fun. Then I guess. Oh wait! Why is Rise of the Seasons? We can just do Seasons Rising, like dragons. Ta-da! There we go. Then we'll have Secrets of Forbidden Spinjitzu is too long and complicated. We're not doing that one. Pilots, no. Legacy of the Green Ninja, no. Rebooted, no. Tournament. Sons of Gamadon, we had a good pun there. Hands of Time. I feel like it's a good pun there. Hands of. I don't know. But there's a good pun there. And then March of the Oni. March of the Oni, you can make a good name with that one. Yeah. What if you swap that one? Seasons Rising. Then that becomes orange. Then we just call this one Marching Up the Ranks. Cha-ja! We've named every tier. Now, without further ado, let's get to ranking every season. So I found this tier list. This tier list is very kind. The person who made this tier list is very kind and very nice. They've put every Ninjago season and special in chronological order. So we have Pilots, Season 1, Resident Snakes, Legacy of the Green Ninja is Season 2, Rebooted Season 3, Season 4, Tournament of Elements, Season 5, Possession, Season 6, Skybound, Day of the Departed Special, Season 7, Hands of Time, Season 8, Sons of Gamadon, Season 9, Hunted, Season 10, Match of the Oni, Season 11, Secrets of Forbidden Spinjitzu, Season 12, Prime Empire, Season 13, Master of the Mountain, The Island Special, we'll talk about this one in a second, Seabound, Season 14, and what was Crystallized? Here we go, Crystallized, Season 15, and then Dragons Rising, Season 1, 2, and 3. So everything from 2011 to 2025, we're good to go. Just making sure. Okay, cool. Now, let's do this. Let's get to ranking all my favorite Ninjago seasons. Let's start with the pilots. All right, I'm going to be level with you guys. I think early Ninjago was not that great. Don't get me wrong. Don't shoot me immediately. I know I'm already coming out with a hot take right out of the gate, but don't shoot me. I like early Ninjago. I, like many fans of Ninjago, like early Ninjago. We would not get into Ninjago without early Ninjago. And there would be no Ninjago without early Ninjago. It's basic math, right? So, yes, I did like early Ninjago. And I was addicted to it a lot when I was younger. But I'm not going to lie to you, even when I first got introduced to the series, I always felt like they could do better. I always felt that the series was capable of doing better. And it originally ending at Season 2 just didn't sit right with me because I felt like there was so much they could do that they just didn't get to yet. And I'm so glad that the series was rebooted, or, I say rebooted because rebooted season, but it was revived and we got a bunch more seasons later on that did become the better version of Ninjago I was hoping for. That became the stuff I was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm seated for, right? So with that said, I do think early Ninjago, especially seasons, pilots to season 1 and 2, the pilots to season 2 are not amazing. They're good, but they're not amazing. And so that's why I wouldn't put them high. I know a lot of people love to put season 1 like in the first 2 tiers, which, by the way, if you're new, just a quick reminder, these are different tiers. So Master of the Series is like the 9s and 10s out of 10 seasons. These are like untouchable. These are great seasons in Ninjago. Sons of Peak are the second best seasons. These are the ones that are almost there. They almost became my favorite. It was just one or two things that held them behind. And then we have Seasons Rising, which is just like, these are good seasons, not really much to say about them. I can't say they're great, but they're also not bad. Marching Up the Ranks, this one is middle of the road seasons. I want to say maybe mid. Honestly, I feel like these ones may be mid. And then we have Bound to Mid, and then we have Prime Failure. I feel like these two are basically the same seasons where I think they're both good. Like, these two tiers basically the same thing. I think the seasons that would be in these tiers are good seasons. I think they're really good. They stand on their own. However, they're not good enough for me to say, oh, they're great. Oh, they're amazing. Oh, this is like top tier Ninjago. This is basically, just absolute cinema, right? I don't think those seasons are enough for me to say that. And so because I do not have enough confidence to say that, I won't put them in Sons of Peak. I'll just say they're good, right? So if Master of the Series is like brilliant, amazing, beautiful, Sons of Peak is like a great season. Seasons Rising will be like good. And then we have mid, which is, middle of the road. And then we have this one, which is bad. I think I can get rid of one of these. I think I can get rid of March of the Season. So we'd have, now this is what the list would look like. If I feel I need to add a new tier, I will add a new tier. It's not that big of a deal. We are live streaming after all. We have time to change a bajillion things. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, and for once, a tier list where I don't have to put haven't seen it. Though to be fair, if I'm making a tier list and I'm live streaming, it would be very weird for me to put a tier list of haven't seen it because in order for me to make the tier list, I'd have to have seen all of them. That's why I make these tier lists. I think the only time I didn't do that was for MCU. Not even MCU, I saw everything. Yeah. Star Wars, I saw everything. It's very few stuff I've made a tier list video for that I haven't seen. Regardless, pilots. I think the pilots are pretty good. I think the pilots and season 1, I count the pilots in season 1 as one season. The reason I do so is because back when I go into Ninjago, I mentioned something. I mentioned this on my second channel, but like in my country, we have like these movie stores you go to, and when you go to a movie store, they burn the movie or TV show onto a disc for you. It was kind of like piracy with extra steps, right? You don't go to buy these on Blu-ray or whatever because buying Blu-ray is basically impossible here. So you'd go to a movie store where they burn the movies onto a disc for you, and you pay these movies for very cheap. So when I first got into Ninjago, it wasn't through Netflix because Ninjago wasn't on Netflix at the time, and it wasn't through Cartoon Network because Cartoon Network was kind of garbage on airing Ninjago. I go into Ninjago through these DVDs at the movie stores, and they put both the pilots and season 1 on the same disc. So I didn't get a disc with 13 episodes. I got a disc with 15 episodes. Oh shoot! Sorry, Flash. So for the longest time, I've always counted the pilots in season 1 as being one and the same thing, which they kind of are, because even if you don't count the shorts that Lego uploaded onto YouTube, you know, the pilot shorts that explain how Wu and Garmadon fought each other, they really are just the same season. The pilots in season 1, like it's a very seamless blend from one story into the other. So I count them as the same thing. But yeah, I don't think they're mid. I wouldn't call the pilots in season 1 mid, but I think they're good. However, I wouldn't say that they're amazing, they're top tier, and you know, nostalgia does have a chokehold on me with these seasons, but even I can admit I don't think that they're the best things Ninjago had to offer. As I said, it's the same thing as before. Same thing goes with season 2. Season 1, season 2 were always the same in my opinion. These two were more or less the same quality. Though I will say this, because I watched season 1 so much as a kid, that my anticipation for season 2 grew. That by the time I got to season 2, I wanted to watch the hell out of season 2. I was so enamored with season 2 because it was so new and fresh to me at the time, because I spent so long not watching it and I wanted to watch it for so long, right? I spent so long looking for season 2 that by the time I got to it, I think I conflated it to be better than it originally was, or better than it actually was, when at the end of the day, no, it wasn't. It was more or less on the same quality as season 1. I could see the arguments people have to say it's weaker than season 1. I fully understand that. I fully understand people who say season 2 is weaker than season 1. But to me, just because there was so much hype, so much anticipation, and because I just have that many strong memories of wanting to watch season 2, for me, it kind of outbeat season 1. Yes, I admit the early episodes of the filler were kind of bad. A lot of them, a couple of them were pretty bad. But compared to season 1, I think I just had more fun with season 2 overall. It just felt like, oh yeah, this is like some strong Ninjago continuation. So yes, I am ranking the tier list as well. So it's not just the tier lists being ordered into the specific tiers I wrote for them. They're tier also being ranked from left to right. So left being the best, right being the weakest. So for me, that's how I'd rate them. So it's going to be season 2 pilots and season 1 right now. There's not really a lot I can say on this era of Ninjago that hasn't been said already. You know, this era is when we got the Green Ninja stuff, when every kid was like, oh my god, who's going to be the Green Ninja? I bet it's Kai. No, I bet it's Zane. For me, it was always Kai or Zane. My money was always either going to be Kai or Zane. Kai because he's my boy, he's my favorite character. And Zane because he was the most emotional of the team. He was the most human of the team, the most relatable, you could say. And so to me, it made sense that, oh yeah, they'd probably make Zane the Green Ninja, right? He's the most humane of the team. So imagine my surprise when it wasn't either of them and it was Lloyd. Young kid me, mind blown. Of course, all the audiences know this. They knew this going in, and again, for a Lego show, it was very predictable who the Green Ninja was going to be. But I do like how they at least tried to make the build-up worth it, and it was fun for what it is. I think at the time it was very fun. If you're just a cynical adult, this is a very dumb story to you, but to me, this is fun. It kind of bums me a lot that because season 2 was meant to be the final season, a lot of people jumped ship after Ninjago. Like a lot of people stopped watching Ninjago after season 2. And it gets so frustrating because when you try to, because I've seen this before, when you try to have a talk about Ninjago in the fandom these days, like be it the cartoon community or just like in general out in public, most people will not know that Ninjago continued either past season 2 or past season 7. Wait, season 7. They won't know it continued past season 2 or past season 7, right? They will not know that these other seasons exist. And if they do know, they'll refuse to watch because of the design change, which we'll get there. So for me, while I wasn't there originally, I came to Ninjago very late. I came to Ninjago like around 2015, so like 3 years after season 2 came out. So while I came to Ninjago somewhat late, I do have a lot of nostalgia for these first couple seasons. I do understand why they've been given the praise they are. But for me, it's like, it's like they're not as good as they could have been. Up next, we have Rebooted, Season 3. I really like Rebooted. I think, okay, I'm not gonna lie, some of my thoughts of Rebooted have reduced over time, like they've waned somewhat since the season first came out, but I still think it's a really good season. This Rebooted to me was the beginning of the golden age of Ninjago. For those who don't know, the Ninjago fandom has divided Ninjago into like 3 separate ages. We have the OG era, that being the pilots to season 2. We have the golden age era from season 3 to season 7, and then we have the Oni trilogy, which is season 8 to season 9. We have the 11-minute era, which is season 11 to 15, and then we have Dragons Rising, which is a sequel show. So and then that's like the really granular stuff. For the general stuff, it's like we have classic Ninjago, which is season 1 to 7, and then we have new Ninjago, which is everything from season 8 onwards, which, if you ask me, is a bit weird because Ninjago technically didn't end till season 10. That's the end of the Masters of Spinjitzu arc. So really, there's 3 again, Ninjago division is always so weird, but fandom division, there's like basically there's 2 official divisions. Well, there's many different divisions within the fandom and the community. There's really only 2 major divisions. There's the official divisions that LEGO themselves came up with, and then there's the fandom divisions that we ourselves as a fandom came up with. The fandom divisions are the ones I explained earlier, season 1 to 2, pilots of season 2, 3 to 7, and then 8 to 10, and then 11 to 15, and then Dragons Rising. But officially, there's only 3 versions of Ninjago. There's 3 divisions of Ninjago. We have pilots to season 10, which is the Masters of Spinjitzu saga, and then we have the 11-minute era, or just Ninjago from season 11 to Crystallized, and then we have Dragons Rising, which is a full sequel show. So this is like starting afresh, starting anew. So 3 eras of Ninjago. With that said, Rebooted was always the beginning of the golden era of Ninjago to me, because I just have a lot of strong feelings on this season. I have a lot of strong emotions and memories tied to it, and I really liked it. At first I was one of those people who didn't like that the Overlord was brought back, but I thought they handled it well. I like how they made him the Golden Master and how they nerfed Lloyd. Okay, at first, again, I also really didn't like how they nerfed Lloyd. That pissed me off so much. But looking back now, I kind of I appreciate and understand it, because if they did nerf Lloyd, we just wouldn't have a story to tell for the future seasons. So I kind of get why they did it. And looking back, it was probably the best decision they could have made. I just wish they weren't so vague on what green/golden power is, Oh, and it's raining. Sorry if the audio gets messed up, guys. I did not plan for it to rain, so forgive me. Anyway, so yeah, Rebooted, right? I was like, I was like locked in with Rebooted. I like that it was finally a Zane season. We got to have a bit more character for Zane. And that ending, dog. The ending where he sacrificed himself, and then the funeral where Kai, gives his thoughts on Zane about it being his brother, and then Pixel going into the lab and finding Zane remaking himself, and then the music. Oh my god, that final episode was so good. A lot of people say a lot of people try to hate on Zane's sacrifice, just trying to like be nitpickers, being like, oh, there's no way Zane had enough power to like power the golden weapons and destroy the Overload, or what's this? What was the thing they were complaining about Zane? It was his power to destroy the golden weapons. Oh yeah, his sacrifice just came out of nowhere. There was no build up to it. And then why is he rebuilding himself so quickly? They couldn't even wait until the next season to bring Zane back. There's a lot of naysayers about the Rebooted finale. For me, I feel like the Rebooted finale is just a perfect example of emotional storytelling rather than physical storytelling. Yes, I know physical storytelling needs to have its place at all times, especially for a long-running series like Ninjago, which very much has its own lore that it retcons like a bajillion times. But I do feel like in some instances, there is a place and time for emotional storytelling, and Rebooted's ending was a place for that. I also like Sensei Gamadon here. And I love how his lesson in teaching Lloyd about the Silent Fist comes back into play later in Hunted. Do not worry, we will get to Hunted. But as it stands, I really like Rebooted. I think it's a good season. Is it one of the best? No, I don't think it's one of the best anymore, but I still do consider it part of the golden age, and as I said, I still have a lot of strong emotions tied to it. So Rebooted will go into Sons of Peak. Up next, we have Tournament of Elements. This is a season where I feel kind of conflicted on, right? I like the season. Hell, I love the season, and I borderline want to say it's perfect. However, I just have a couple issues with it I cannot ignore, and these issues almost make me want to take it down from the tier I want to put it up in. But long story short, I do not feel like Tournament of Elements was able to deliver on everything it wanted to do. It's a season about being in a tournament, yet the tournament ends like at around episode 7, and they get off the island in episode 8, leaving episode 9 and 10 to be the finale. And that's the same issue I have as well, is that the season just kind of doesn't really have a strong focus, because it tries to gaslight you into thinking Kai is the main focus ninja of this season, when he isn't. He gets a good bit of development, yes, but everyone gets development this season. Cole gets development, Zane gets development. Hell, this is the last season to give Zane any proper development. Even Jay and Cole wrap up the dumb love triangle. And let's not forget that it was Gamadon at the end who made the ultimate sacrifice to defeat Chen. This isn't a Kai season, it's a Gamadon season. The main conflict of this season is the Gamadon family drama and the dumb love triangle between Wu, Gamadon, and Misako. Which, yes, even though I have been on record defending Misako, hell, it's the last video I uploaded. I gotta show y'all. The last video I uploaded, just gotta put in some shameless plug promotion. While it's the last video I uploaded, I just cannot stand by and accept that dumb love triangle. I hate it so much. I hate everything to do with it. But that's what I'm saying. The main draw of this season is the Gamadon family drama. So it isn't a Kai season. It's a Lloyd season. And I do feel like the end of the season does suffer because of it. Let me close this window just to prevent noise. It's not perfect, but it will hold for now. Let me just make sure the audio isn't being interrupted. You see, this is why I don't like doing live streams. Unpredictable crap like this happens. Give me a second, guys. I gotta close all the windows. Make sure that the water doesn't pour in and you can still hear me. Alright, you'll probably still hear some rain because, my roof is made of metal. Not much you can do about that. So, without further ado, let's continue. Let's do it. I don't want to. Let's do it. Y'all don't even know the meme I'm referencing. So, yeah, I do feel like the end of Season 4 does suffer a bit from the whole Gamadon family drama. Because not only do we take attention away from Kai, when we get off the island, once the tournament is over. But that's the thing, the tournament ends and the season doesn't end. So we go from it being a tournament to instead it being like an Anacondra cult where Chen and his followers worship the Anacondra. They want to turn to Anacondra and invade Ninjago. It's like, dog, relax. We were just starting this off from being a tournament. I feel like if they just stuck to the concept of there's this guy who's running an underground illegal tournament who wants to steal the powers of every elemental master and claim himself like ruler of Ninjago, I think that would have been a very simple story on its own. But then they had to go and bring back the snakes for it. Even though we literally had the snakes as villains like 3 seasons ago. We didn't need this again. I'm not saying I hate the Anacondra stuff. I do like what they do with the Anacondra stuff. I do like the invasion of Ninjago. And I do love Gamadon's sacrifice. I just feel like we kind of lost the plot a bit towards the end. Once the tournament ended and we got off the island, I feel like there was a significant quality drop. Again, stuff like Gamadon's sacrifice is really done well. 10 out of 10 stuff. But I don't know if I'd say it's worth sacrificing Kai's character arc or Kai in its short just to give us a bit more Gamadon family drama, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't consider Season 4 perfect, but it is really good, and I'm willing to put it in top tier for that. It's a very strong 9 out of 10 season, I'd say. Maybe 8, This is where I began noticing the cracks in Kai's development as a character, as I mentioned in my Kai video, but I do feel like this season is very much worthy enough to stand on its own, so there you go. Up next, we have Possession Season 5. I love Possession. I think Possession is really good. I honestly think this is one of those times when Ninjago takes inspiration from another property and does it really well, because this season is very much blatantly based off Kung Fu Panda. The whole Moro and Wu dynamic is very much based off Tai Lung and Shifu. And I do think they do it well here. It's not just a blatant ripoff. They do try and dive a bit more into Moro as a character and as a villain and what he wants. And I do like how he remains unredeemed to the end. Kind of like Tai Lung. They do bring Moro back to be redeemed later. I wasn't a huge fan of that in later stuff like Day of the Departed. But just talking about his character as a whole in Possession, I wasn't a huge fan of his last final moments. With that said though, I do like that this season decided to bench Lloyd. One of the only seasons that bothers to do that, by the way, that decides to actually backseat its main character. And I do like the feud he has with the ninja. I really do wish we got to have more of a dynamic between Moro, Kai, and Lloyd. Because, like, I've said this before in my Kai video, but Moro was a reflection of Kai. He was not a reflection of Lloyd. And he was never supposed to be a reflection of Lloyd. The shallow, how should I say, the shallow parallels the writers tried to give these two characters by the end of the season just didn't hold up well to me. If you ask me, Moro had an interesting dynamic he could have had with Kai and Lloyd if the writers just took a bit more time to cook with him. With Lloyd, his beef with Lloyd could have been that he's upset Lloyd is the chosen one, right? And Lloyd has to prove himself as the chosen one. Lloyd doesn't just say, I was born to be the chosen one. No, his character and his training and, you know, everything that makes him him is what contributed to him being the chosen one. It's what contributed to him being Ninjago's greatest hero. Is that Lloyd is just like an upstanding guy, an upstanding hero. And even if you take his powers away, he will never stop being Ninjago's hero. Whereas with Kai, his beef with Kai could have been, they both saw themselves as being the Green Ninja once upon a time. But whereas Kai was able to accept that that wasn't his destiny and overcome his jealousy, as we saw in season 4, Moro wasn't able to overcome his jealousy and his pride. And that's what led to his death before the series began. And I do think that parallel between the two characters would have worked really well in my opinion. But but they just didn't dig into it enough. They never bring any parallels between Kai and Moro, which is weird because the whole last season was all about Kai. Well, not the whole last season, but last season was all about Kai finally overcoming his jealousy once and for all. So you'd think the next step would be actually taking his character on a journey and focusing on that jealousy, holding a mirror up to Kai and telling him, see, this is where your jealousy gets you. Look, I'm glad the audience is able to infer this. Hell, I was able to infer this on my own. But I feel like for a children's show, some stuff should have also been said out loud. I feel like Moro should have been very much a big mirror to Kai. A mirror held up to Kai's face telling him, this is what you could have become. But they never say this once. And it's, again, up to the older audience to infer this. But I do wish they brought that up. Between Moro and Lloyd, though, they definitely should have brought up more about Lloyd being deserving of being the chosen one. Because yes, while he was born into it, he also had to earn being the chosen one. Later seasons do develop on this, so I'm not too mad. But I feel like at the time they should have focused on this a lot more. Everything else, though, I like it. I do stand by what a lot of people say, and something I've also said before. Possession is hands down Ninjago's most cinematic season. It looks so good. The atmosphere is perfect. Watch it, around spooky months if you want to. I love the ghosts and their powers and, the world building around them. And speaking of world building, we finally get to see more of the 16 realms. We got to a hint at the different realms earlier in the series, like there was realm of, there was the underworld and the pilots, realm of madness in season 1. The cursed realm was introduced in season 4, but in season 5 is where we truly delve into like what the 16 realms are, what they're about, how they sound in Ninjago, so on and so forth. And we get to see Cloud Kingdom. A lot of people really hate Cloud Kingdom in this season. Personally, I love it. I love the idea of like there's a realm just full of people who write the destinies of creatures from other realms such as Ninjago. I know a lot of people hate that because they deal with the whole but my free will. But to me, I always say this, guys, it's a TV show. The characters you're watching in the TV show literally don't have free will. A world where people are writing their stories is literally just the writers in the real world writing the stories of these characters. I know what you're going to say, but my immersion, okay? We're trying to pretend that these characters are real and they have their free will. And to that I say, what exactly is just wrong with people writing the destinies of the ninja? I'll never understand the extreme hatred towards that, where they're like, I guess their movements mean nothing. No, they mean something. The ninja's actions mean something. Just because they're dictated by another person doesn't mean they mean nothing. For we know, the first Ninjutsu master could have created this world, so this means something. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I like Cloud Kingdom. I like the Cursed Realm. I like seeing the Preeminent as an actual living being. Which, by the way, I love the Eldritch horror monster that the Preeminent is. I love the way it's like this huge, giant, ball, hairy thing that just like that's able to possess buildings and walk on water with them. The Preeminent looks really good. The Cursed World finale was amazing, and it's the only finale of Ninjago that has a part 1, part 2 to it. And for the longest time, it was the only episode of Ninjago to be labeled part 1, part 2. Up until Dragon's Rising, Ninjago never did a part 1, part 2 for the episodes before, so you could tell like this was a really big thing at the time. Loved it. So yeah, I love Possession. I think it's amazing. So far, it's the best season. But that's not gonna stand for long because we have Skybound. Now, Skybound is one of those funny seasons where you either love it or you hate it. There is no in between. The fan base has always been divided on Skybound since time immemorial. Again, you either see it as a really good season on Ninjago or you see it as one of the worst things to ever exist. Personally, I like Skybound. I really love Skybound. Now, I know all of you will say, but what about the ending? Phoenix, haven't you been on record saying that you hate endings that say that, oh, it was all a dream or the story never happened? To me, I don't mind the ending of Skybound because A, it was planned from the very beginning. This isn't like Troll Hunters, for example, where in Troll Hunters, the movie, you'd expect the movie to end some way, but it doesn't end that way, and instead they time travel all the way back, not to the beginning of the movie, but to the beginning of the series where they undo everything. Not only do they not travel to like the pilots and undo everything in Skybound, they only travel to the beginning of the season. And again, it was very much planned for them to time travel back to the beginning of the season. Not to mention, unlike Troll Hunters, where in Troll Hunters the good guys won, but they still time travel to undo everything at the end. In Skybound, the good guys essentially lost. You know, Nia died, Ninjago City was about to fall on itself, and Lloyd was old and dying as well. It's like, it was kind of crappy, you know. If Skybound didn't get reversed, I bet you season 7 would have been a post-apocalyptic kind of story for that, because that's where we were. So I like Skybound because it was essentially the heroes had failed, the good guys were losing, but Jay made that last minute wish. So I don't mind the ending of Skybound because it was very clearly planned. And, you know, it wasn't made to damage the series. And parts of it are still canon. Like, Skybound isn't non-canon now. Parts of it's still very much a canon. Like the floating Temple of Air Jitsu and Jay and Nia's relationship, which finally did get wrapped up in this season. I know a lot of people really hate how Jay and Nia's relationship was handled. I do too. I hate how the love triangle was introduced and rebooted. But I like how instead of pretending it didn't happen or instead of continuing the drama for drama's sake, the writers actually did put in the effort to fix it piece by piece. They created the love triangle and rebooted, realized they made a mistake. Then in Tournament of Elements, they had Cole and Jay, you know, make amends and say, let's stop fighting over girls. And then in Possession, not really much happened there, but Nia was becoming a ninja in her side quest, so whatever. And then in Skybound, Jay and Nia finally admit each other's feelings for each other, and they say, you know what, all that stuff that happened before, that was pretty dumb. And I like how we actually got a whole season to focus on their relationship. It works well in my opinion. So, yeah, I also like that. The only thing I've seen like people really get up in arms about was the whole Narakan and wishes thing. And I'll admit, Narakan and his wishes rules are kind of weird. So you can't wish for love, you can't wish for death, I think. And you can't wish for more wishes, right? So those are the 3 rules. And a lot of people have nitpicked this season to death because of the amount of wishes Jay could have made just to end the season earlier. To me, I don't mind it. Again, it's a children's show and the plot kind of needs to happen. I know what people are going to say. Oh, how dare you just excuse this season for its flaws? How dare you just say, oh yeah, well, I know it's bad, but it's good because it's bad. Or, you know, you acknowledge its flaws, but that doesn't stop it from being bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I acknowledge that the plot is flawed in some areas, but I also just enjoy it too much to care because it's clear that they had a plot in mind and these what ifs could have applied. We just don't know how well they'd have applied. Not to mention, Narakan constantly mixes the words of the wishes people make to him. So who's to say that even if Jay did make a smart wish, Narakan wouldn't have twisted his words? I don't know. I like the season as is. Y'all can cry about it. I think Skybound was one of the best seasons of the time. Oh, and the animation was peak. I love how colorful it is. How, like, disgustingly bright everything is. It's not even like saturation. It's just like the sun is beaming in every scene, and I love it. That intro, by the way, this intro, along with Possession's intro, are my favorites. Possession has the best intro with like the 2D illustrations in Ninja. And the slow reprisal of the Weekend Whip. Whereas Skybound has the same intro as season 1, but a bit more retro. You know, it's like jump up, keep it, whip around and spin. They got that shanty to it that feels both like a pirate shanty, but also like a proper retro version of the season 1 intro, which I really did like. I feel because like it was what, since it's been 5 seasons since we got the proper season 1 intro. You know, season 1 and 2 had the same intro. Season 3 switched it up. Season 4 switched it up. Season 5 switched it up. So season 6 was trying to bring us back to our roots, and I love that. I love it so much. But of course, the golden era couldn't last forever. A lot of people like to say that the golden era of Ninjago ended with season 7. To me, it ended with season 6. Season 3, 4, 5, and 6 were all banger back-to-back seasons. However, it all came tumbling down with the Day of the Departed special. I do not like this special. I've watched it like 2 more times since it came out, and my opinions in it haven't changed. I find the way the villains came back to be so dumb. The villains themselves are absolute nonsense. I hate how Chen went from this like smart, conniving person to this button-pushing maniac. Crypto just fell off a tree and died. You're a ninja. You're not supposed to die like that. Who else do I hate? I don't even remember what happened to Samukai. Moro was fine, I guess. I don't know. I can't remember exactly everything that happened with Moro, but he was fine. I like that he and Wu managed to have like one last goodbye with each other and patch things up. So it wasn't perfect, but it was a nice little bow on his character. But then we have Yang. Yang, who at the time was really a nice, misunderstood villain, who I thought they were going to do more with, or like, we're going to learn more about. But of course we couldn't because it was a 45-minute special. But now looking back, Yang is the biggest waste of space ever. Like, it's not even that I hate him, it's that the series hates him. The show hates Yang so much. Ever since we saw him in Day of the Departed fighting Cole, we've never seen him in a single Ninjago season since. And he's never been referenced. After season 7, the ninja never used Airjitsu again. It gets referenced once in Prime Empire, but that's about it. Yang is never mentioned. Cole promises to never forget Yang. He promises to visit Yang at the temple all the time, and yet he's gone. The ninja live in the temple in season 7, but in season 8, they moved on. They moved to another place. They've forgotten him. We've never seen Cole revisit Yang again. And this makes me so upset. Not only do I feel so bad for Yang, but like all this talk of him wanting to be remembered and all that stuff in Day of the Departed means nothing. Yang, like his special, is just a forgettable waste of space. It's actually sad. Like it's honestly ironic how much the series hates Yang, despite Yang wanting to be remembered and cherished so much. It's actually kind of crazy. And on top of that, I just hate the sets for this special. For those who don't know, back in 2016, there was a huge wave of sets that were coming up promoting Day of the Departed. Some of them were actually portrayed in the actual special, but some of them weren't. There was a set for Crypterium prison specifically that had like the giant stone warrior and all that stuff, like the ninja being arrested. It wasn't a Skybound set. Trust me, it wasn't a Skybound set. This was very much a Day of the Departed set. We never saw that set. There was another set as well where we got to see the Samurai X cave as well. Spoiler alert, we never go to Samurai X both in Skybound and in Day of the Departed. Waste of space on both halves. So to me, Day of the Departed was a special that had a lot of promise to it. It felt like there was a lot more potential to it. And if you ask me, it really should have been a season. It really should have been a Way of the Departed. I say Way because that's what the non-canon book is called. So if you ask me personally, I think Way of the Departed should have been a season. Day of the Departed should not have been a special. It should have been a full-on season of Cole grappling with his ghost side, slowly getting his human side back, but being able to retain part of his ghost side. I don't know, being able to like transform into a ghost or face through things or possess things or whatever. But it should have been a long character-driven story about Cole. Mind you, we didn't get a Cole season until 2020. This is the first, Master of the Mountain was the first true Cole-centric story we got. Day of the Departed was barely that. It was a team story that just happened to have Cole on the box art, and that to me just pisses me to no end. So I feel like Day of the Departed was very much a wasted potential season. We barely got much characterization of Cole outside of him just being a nice guy and worried about fading away. Yang was absolutely wasted in this, and the idea of Cole going on this like soul-searching journey of regaining his humanity was just hella rushed. I do not like Day of the Departed. This is the first true like bad Ninjago project, and this is a thing we're gonna be noticing. A lot of Ninjago specials, i.e. the two that we have, just aren't good, but we'll get there when we get there. Next we have Hands of Time. I don't like Hands of Time. I said this many times before. I even made a full video on it. Hands of Time, much like Day of the Departed, is just wasted potential incarnate to me. Hands of Time should be in a season that was all about time travel. It was about time travel of the ninja going from one time period to the next. I don't know if you all have seen the short Golden Hour. Golden Hour is a canon short that takes place right after the finale of Hands of Time. And that short is everything I wanted Hands of Time to be. Where the ninja, well, in this short it's Wu and the Time Twins, but the ninja travel to different time periods where they fight the Time Twins want to mess up time somehow by interfering with a character decision or by getting an artifact or something, and the ninja have to stop them. That to me is what I wanted Hands of Time to be about. Now, as it turns out, I've said this before, and I've covered this before on my channel, but Hands of Time actually was meant to be a part 1 season. Part 2 was going to be season 8. Season 8 was going to be part 2 to Hands of Time, where the ninja actually do time travel. They go through different time periods, and the season was going to end with the ninja trapping the Time Twins 40 years in the future. Like 40 years in the future, the Time Twins would appear in the future. The ninja would be old. They'd look like their future selves in possession, and then they defeat the Time Twins, and then finally capture them once and for all. So yeah, so for those who don't remember, there was like an ice thing in possession. There was like those ice crystal things that showed the ninja their futures. And Season 8, the original concept for Season 8 was going to show us what the ninja looked like 40 years in the future. So the ninja were going to be, old, J and A were going to be married, probably have their own kids, Cole was going to be dead, but we didn't see that. And the Time Twins were going to go 40 years in the future, like they said at the end of Season 7, and the ninja were going to capture them once and for all. But again, that didn't happen. And so at the end of the day, because the movie came out and Season 8 got heavily rewritten, we never got the part 2 to Hands of Time that we deserved. And because we never got the part 2, we only got Hands of Time itself. We only got Hands of Time, the part 1 of the story, of the 2 parts of the story he tried to tell us. So, long story short, Hands of Time sucks because not only is it so much wasted potential, but it's all build up with no payoff. The only time we do time travel is at the end of the season when we go back to, the Serpentine War, when the Time Twins rebelled against the other Elemental Masters and we get Kaine and Death thing. And that's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, this season is largely a very boring season. They repeat a lot of the episode plots. And there were only 3 episodes I liked. There was the premiere episode, which was really freaking awesome. And there was the finale with the Ninja Time Traveling. And then there's one more episode, which I personally like, The Attack. I know a lot of people really hate The Attack, simply just for the bad animation errors there. But I like it. It was a full action episode. It at least kept me awake while I was watching it. The rest of the season was kind of boring. I will admit, though, Dareth was funny in this season. He was a very funny character in this season. I like Dareth. I liked Dareth in Hands of Time and Hunted specifically. Those were peak Dareth seasons. Everything else was whatever. So, yeah, Hands of Time to me is just disappointing. It's got poor animation. The animation is butt ugly, especially after coming off such hype seasons like Skybound, and Possession, which had amazing animation. We just get a butt ugly season with Hands of Time with so many animation errors that they just did not need to be there, So the animation is ugly, and I understand why. The movie was coming out, attention had to be diverted somewhere else. The writing was also crap. This was the only season the Hagemans did not write. The original. This is the only season from the OG era that the Hagemans did not write. They wrote everything up until, because for those who don't know, Ninjago had 3 showrunners. We had Tommy and Jason, the creator, and the Hagemans, who also created the series alongside Tommy and Jason. And they were the head writers / showrunners for most of it. They left in 2016, 2017, around there, to go write Troll Hunters, another show I've watched and talked about in the past. But they went to go write Troll Hunters. And in writing Troll Hunters, they left Ninjago in the hands of other writers, people who just weren't as good with writing Ninjago. And that's why we got Day of the Departed and Hands of Time. Day of the Departed and Hands of Time were, again, the only things the Hagemans did not write in the original Ninjago run. So they did everything from the pilots to season 3, 4, 5, 6. They came back for season 8 and 9. I can't remember if they wrote season 10 or not, but they left after season 9 and 10. And so Ninjago was then headed by Tommy Andreessen and this other writer. Why am I forgetting his name? Burn something. Not Tim Cook. Why am I saying Tim Cook? Bragi, yeah. Bragi Shoot, that was it. So Tommy Andreessen and Bragi Shoot then headed Ninjago from season 11 to Crystallize. And then afterward, Tommy Andreessen and Bragi left after Crystallize. And then finally, Doc Wyatt and Kevin Burke are now the new showrunners for Dragon's Rising. So Dragon's Rising is very much a Doc Wyatt show. Let's just get that front and center. Tommy is the creator, but Dragon's Rising is very much Doc's show. So that's why we refer to Doc when I try to get when I cite proof for the show, for Dragon's Rising, that is, because he's a new showrunner. With that said, since Hands of Time was the only season the Hagemans did not write, the drop in quality was very noticeable. So the writing was kind of bad, the animation sucked, it was all built up with no payoff, being a part 1 season with no part 2, and we'll never get part 2 unless you want to count the golden hour shot, and sorry, just checking something. And yeah, and yeah, it just wasn't good all around. I don't like Hands of Time. I like it a bit more than Day of the Departed because at least, there were 3 of the 10 episodes I liked, whereas Day of the Departed, I just liked almost nothing about it. But it was at the time, by far, the worst season of Ninjago. This season has since gotten some fans for it. There are some people out there who genuinely love Hands of Time, who think Hands of Time is one of the best seasons ever. And then, of course, we have the nostalgia heads who are like, oh, Ninjago ended after season 7. Oh, the good old days of Ninjago stopped after season 7. Ninjago was crap after season 7. You know those people, the nostalgia heads. Those people glaze season 7 like there's no tomorrow, simply because it was the last season that had the OG designs, and then, you know, the design changes from season 8 onwards happened. So a lot of those people really only like season 7 just to glaze on it and hate on the new stuff. They don't really like season 7, they just hate on the new stuff. You know, their hatred for the new stuff is stronger than their love for OG Ninjago. And honestly, like, if you stopped here, that's such a weird place. Imagine watching Ninjago and then stopping at season 7. You watch the pilot, season 1, season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Dear Departed, and 7. You stopped right before peak. You know, you stopped right before things got good, and it's like before things got really amazing. It's like, I mean, if you want to stick with this, more power to you and the nostalgia that comes with it. But like, I don't know. Season 7 is such a downer season to end on. I'm sorry. And apparently the show was cancelled. There was a brief period of time where Ninjago was cancelled after season 7 dropped. We were never going to get season 8. Or I think we were going to get season 8, but then the show would have ended after that. And that's just that's almost scary to me. Like, I'm actually glad the movie came out when it did, because if the movie didn't come out, the show would have been cancelled. Season 7 would have probably been our last season, and the rest of this would not have existed. And we'd still be in the same situation we are now. We'd have a part 1 without a part 2. And yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to live in a world like that. I don't know if I'd be happy in a world like that. So to me, I don't like season 7. I think that would have been a horrible place to stop watching Ninjago. I think it would have actually been the worst place to just like stop Ninjago entirely. But again, more power to the people who like this season, who see the good in it that I don't. This, to me, at the time, was by and large the worst season of Ninjago, and almost the worst piece of Ninjago media ever, if Dare the Departed did not come out right before it. But now let's come to the new stuff. We have the redesign era, that being Sons of Gamadon, which came out after the movie did in the movie came out in 2017, Sons of Gamadon came out in 2018, but the official design change happened in 2017, because the first trailer for season 8 came out in 2017 as well. I have a weird relationship with season 8. Whereas with most of these seasons, my opinion on them has kind of lowered over time. My opinion on season 8 has kind of improved over time. Like, I've gained more respect for season 8 over time. And while I still wouldn't put it in the most top tier ever, I do respect season 8 for what it is and what it tried to do. In fact, I gotta find it. I wrote an entire list of why I respect season 8. And the reason I say this is because when season 8 first came out, I absolutely despised it. I really hated season 8. Or at the very least, I was trying so hard to be different to not like season 8. But since I'm here, let me talk about why about the reasons I respect Sons of Gamadon. No, I need to talk about why I didn't like season 8 to begin with. For one, I hated that season 8 was not season 7 part 2. Remember, season 7 was meant to be a part 1 season, and then season 8 was meant to be part 2, where we got all the crazy time travel shenanigans. That didn't happen. Season 8 was basically a soft reboot for the franchise, where we now focused on Lloyd. One scene in this season that pissed me off so much, when the ninja were chasing Miss Lines and whatever, and as they were chasing him, I just kept thinking to myself, how easy would it be to catch him if they just use their air jitsu? Legit, you do not need to be doing this flipping on clotheslines and whatnot. Just use either air jitsu or your elemental dragons to catch up to him, capture him, and then boom, continue the story as normal. But no, in order to create tension and again not to confuse audiences, they had to get rid of those elements. They only kept the ninja with their powers because, well, that's what we love to see from Ninjago, the ninja using their powers. So yeah, so to me, I did not like Sons of Gamadon at first because I thought it was too much change too fast. Instead of wrapping up the story of the previous season like they were supposed to, they just decided to hop on the next new thing for the new audience so they can sell more toys. To me, it felt cheap and it felt disingenuous. It felt like they didn't care about storytelling. It felt like they didn't care about the storytelling and the world of Ninjago. They just cared about making a quick buck and making things simpler so that they don't have to go with this power scaling, jumping the shark nonsense. Because let's face it, the ninja in the previous seasons were kind of OP. Season 7 was in the ninja were like at their most powerful. It's a shame the season was not animated well so we could actually see them displaying their power, but that's neither here nor there. Point is, I hated Sons of Gamadon at first because it was too much change, too fast. Not that I'm opposed to change. Keep in mind, I'm not opposed to change. I'm not opposed to a series changing or adapting to the times. I will always stick with something as long as it's good. So make all the changes you want as long as they service the story and the characters and the world properly. Looking at you, Jurassic World, you made a bad change. But for Ninjago, I don't mind the changes, again, as long as they serve the characters in the world properly. So it's not that I'm against change or like I'm a nostalgia head. I hated Sons of Gamadon because it was so much change so fast. It felt like it was diverting from what made Ninjago special to begin with. However, as I said, over time, I've come to respect Sons of Gamadon a lot more. Not just for its impact on the franchise, which, let's face it, has been kind of good as of late, has been really good as of late, but because of what it stands for as a singular season, as its own standalone season, or as part of a trilogy. Hands of Time kind of works on its own. And yeah, there is some storytelling merit here. There is some respect for storytelling and for the world of Ninjago here, which obviously makes sense since the Hagemans came back to write the season. So you know they came back good with the sauce. And because of that, I want to explain now why I've changed my stance on Sons of Gamadon from it being too much change, too fast, which I still kind of have a bit of residual problems with. I don't like how quickly Sons of Gamadon changed a lot of things and how they brushed off past seasons, stories and arcs very nonchalantly. That's still a major problem with this season. But I do respect it a lot now. And I just want to read these points out because I do keep these points on hand of why I like Sons of Gamadon a lot more now. So, first reason was it had to introduce a new audience to the show while also appealing to established fans. I think that's a strong reason to like Sons of Gamadon. Because remember, Sons of Gamadon came out after the movie. And they were not going to reboot the show. There was no way Lego was going to reboot the Ninjago show and make a new show entirely for new audiences. We had too much lore and too much backstory at hand, and they didn't want to risk losing their old audience. And so the Hagemans came in and said, hey, what if we try and make a new season that appeals to both sides of the fandom. The new fans who came in from the movie will change the designs, a bit of the lore for them, and the old fans who've been with us the whole time through will make a season that still appeals to them. So we'll bring back classics like Gamadon, for example. And so I think this is a very good way to tell the story. It had to introduce a new audience to the show while also appealing to established fans. It had to keep most of the lore of what made Ninjago, but at the same time, they also had to juggle bringing in new audiences without rebooting. And honestly, I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that they went through so much effort to keep the story of Ninjago intact instead of taking the easy way out and rebooting. Then number 2 is it had to wrap up the story of the previous season without being Hands of Time Part 2, while also setting up its own story for the trilogy. So again, remember, Sons of Gamadon was the first in its trilogy. It was the first installment of the Oni and Dragon trilogy. And on top of that, it had to also wrap up the story of Hands of Time. Because remember, Hands of Time was a part 1 season. So I kind of like how they went about this by having Wu become a baby and then the ninja finding him. I do hate, though, that we had to wait a couple more years, like 3 more years for the Golden Hour special to come out to find out exactly what happened to Wu. But I do like how they were able to wrap up the Hands of Time story without specifically having to deal with the Hands of Time. It's not perfect, I still stand by it, it's not amazing, but it was at least suitable enough for at least them to brush off the old story and then make enough ground for them to tell their new story without, again, disrespecting the old story. And the amount of writing and planning behind it wasn't easy, and it's crazy that they had a well put together story in such a short amount of time. Because remember, this Sons of Gamadon we have here wasn't the first draft of the season. Sons of Gamadon was used to all these new changes and whatnot. It made accepting what came afterward so much more simpler and easier to now take in. Which is why I think I love Hunted so much. Because Hunted is basically what a lot of people reacted to Sons of Gamadon about. Everyone loves Sons of Gamadon, but I couldn't because of the changes. However, because I was able to watch Sons of Gamadon, and I was able to wait in between Sons of Gamadon and Hunted for the changes to sink in and me get used to them, I was able to appreciate this trilogy for what it really was, which led to me loving Hunted all the more. So yes, Sons of Gamadon is a buffer season, and I appreciate it a lot for that. So yeah, with that said, I do respect Sons of Gamadon a lot. I think this is really one of Ninjago's best seasons, just like on a flat level. And it really just goes to show that miracles can come from everywhere. Yes, even a children's Lego show. So definitely goes to the top of 8 here. And then we have Hunted. I feel like I don't need to explain why I love Hunted. Hunted is so freaking good. I've talked about Hunted a million times on this channel. I've made an entire video gushing over Hunted, which got blocked, so I don't even know why I'm saying that. You guys don't even know the video exists anymore. But yeah, Hunted was an amazing season, amazing story, amazing character development for Lloyd and Wu. It's actually crazy that we got a Wu focus season this late in the game. It was honestly kind of crazy. And we got a Wu focus season before Akai's focus season. So let that sink in. I love the fight between Lloyd and Gamadon. This was an actual fight. At the time, and I will say this as well, I love Hunted simply because it was a better final battle than the actual final battle from Season 2. Look, I love the final battle for Season 2. I think the fight between Lloyd and the Overlord was great. But the fight between Lloyd and Gamadon in Season 9 is so much better. Not only is it Lloyd and Gamadon actually fighting, like this is them having a full-on brawl between each other. This is a Gamadon who is not holding back. He actually wants to kill Lloyd and is evil. But it's not a fulfillment of the prophecy. The Green Ninja rising to fight the OG Dark Lord we all know. It's so good. Firstborn was cool. I love the lore around her. I love the armor that Wu wears, the lore around the first Jujutsu Master. It's so good, guys. I love the apocalyptic setting in Ninjago where Lloyd and the ninja are on the run. It's so good. Hunted is so good, guys. Like, it kind of annoys me how much this season is being slept on. It's either that or everyone just knows Hunted is good, and they don't feel the need to talk more about it because it just covered the basis of everything. Honestly, if you cut out the last 2 minutes of this season, if you cut out the last 30 seconds even of this season, it would be the perfect series finale. If the ending sting, the ending tease for the Oni to come in the later seasons was not there, I think Hunted would be considered a perfect series finale. Not to mention, they even animated the Fold and had the Fold sing the song. Bro, you don't even know. This season was so hype at the time. Hunted was so good, guys. Like, we will never reach this height again. Even if another season comes out that's just as good or if not better than Hunted, I don't think anything will ever surpass my love for this season. It's so good. The character writing is perfection. I love how the characters are written. Kai gets the moment to shine, Jay gets the moment to shine, Cole gets the moment to shine. I love Wu's character writing, Lloyd, Gamadon. Even Nia gets an amazing speech at the beginning. Dareth was actually really cool for once in this season, even with his annoying brown power subplot. Mistake was really cool, though the fan base goes on to use her as a weapon later on. But like, long story short, Hunted is just, it's borderline perfect. It is a borderline perfect Ninjago season. I cannot stop praising this thing enough. It's so good. Guys, watch Hunted. Watch Hunted and appreciate it. So, yeah. We'll never get back to the peak of the Oni trilogy. I say that and we have Dragon's Rising, which is arguably so much better. So, my voice is running ragged. Let's not waste time. Let's get into it. March of the Oni. This is the original or the second series finale. This is where the Masters of Spinjitzu Saga officially ended. So even though Season 2 was the original series finale, March of the Oni is now the second series finale, and I liked it. I wouldn't say I liked it a lot or I loved it, but I do think March of the Oni is really good for what it is. We get some cool character moments from all the ninja. We get Cole's fall. I hate that episode, actually. I really hate that episode. The episode where Cole falls off the bounty and it looks like he's dying, I hated that episode so much because I knew it was a fake out. From the beginning, I knew it was a fake out death, and they treated it like so depressingly. They hype it up so much that Cole is gonna die, and then he doesn't actually die. And then he doesn't get turned into stone despite everyone else around him getting turned into stone. That was also another thing that just annoyed me. Ugh. But overall, I think the season was good. I like Gamadon's characterization this season. I like him and Lloyd slowly growing bond together. I love the final episode where they do the Tornado of Creation, where Lloyd meets the first Spinjitzu Master. We get to see the Golden Dragon one more time. There's a lot of really good stuff to appreciate about March of the Oni. Is it perfect? No. Is it the weakest of the Oni trilogy? Yes. Is it still a really good season? Hell yeah. Hell the frick yeah. March of the Oni is good. I'd put it like at top of B tier, honestly. It is good. It is better than Season 2. I will say that in almost every way. If only Lloyd got his golden power back, then we'd be cooking with fire. Right, well, we went from one of Ninjago's best trilogies to one of its worst entries. Hello, my old enemy. Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu, Season 11. I'm not even going to waste time talking about this one. I've talked about it so many times before. I freaking hate Season 11. It is so bad. It is ridiculously bad. Ninjago season 11 is hands down the worst piece of Ninjago media I have seen. Yes, I will fight people on that, and I will argue on why I do not think Crystallize fits that role. Sorry, not sorry. So, yeah, I hate season 11. So, just give my brief pointers. I found Asphira annoying as a villain. I hate the fact that the ninja went to go look for their own problems. Just so, unlike them, it's one thing if they accidentally create their own problems. It's another if they go looking for them. I hate how the characters were handled this season. Kai was handled so poorly. Nia was given the same arc as Kai halfway through. Zayn lost his humanity and is given another dumb amnesia storyline. What else do I hate about this season? I hate that Lloyd hogs the spotlight again for no reason. God. Cole goes on a side quest. I guess that's fine. Jay just does nothing throughout the season. And it's bad. It's really bad. The animation is cool. I like the animation. But that's about it. The fight scenes are cool. The anime episodes are cool. You know, it's honestly funny how everyone hates the anime episodes, specifically for the designs of the ninja, but I love them. I love how the designs of the ninja are obviously like drawn so much that they're clearly a parody. I don't know why people don't understand this. But like, the anime episodes at least were fun. They were funny. You know, they were at least full of life and energy. Everything else was just bad. This season was bad. Oh, don't even get me started on the goddamn Kaiju Protocol. That episode was garbage. And it was law-breaking on top of that. Like, it's one thing to be a bad episode. It's another thing to be an episode so bad that you just straight up ruin, like, the logic of your world. It's annoying. I hate the Kaiju Protocol with every fiber in my being. Hands down, the worst episode in Ninjago. I will never understand the people who defend this season, but hate on Crystallize. Crystallize, for all the things I praise Crystallize about, one thing I absolutely hate about it is I carried. Yeah. One thing I absolutely hate about it is I carried a lot of the flaws from season 11 over. I hated season 11 because it had so many of Ninjago's worst flaws. And I was like, I really hope they never repeat these mistakes again. I really hope the writers never repeat the same mistakes again. But they do in Crystallize, which is a problem because that's actual ammo that haters of Crystallize can use against it. They're like, see, the writers didn't learn from their problems. And they took these problems and made them worse in Crystallize. And I can't fight against it because Crystallize has some of the same problems. But genuinely, at least Crystallize never did anything that broke the law. But either way, lore, L-O-R-E, not L-A-W. Why is one of my ears blocked? What I do to deserve this? Okay. So I'm just looking at the back of my box. I figured take a break, give my voice a break for a second. Talking about 18 seasons is a lot. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. So get some water, some gum. Right? Yeah. So I'll never understand how the people who defend Secrets of Forbidden Spijitzu can't defend Crystallize, despite Crystallize also carrying the same problems. If you're gonna hate one, at least hate the other. But yeah, I hate Secrets of Forbidden Spijitzu. It's so bad and it's so overly long for no reason. Don't even get me started on that scrapped finale they had of Kai fighting Zayn, and then they made it Lloyd instead because main character. God damn, I hate this season. The more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more angry I get. I'm moving on. I hate season 11 so much. You guys don't even know. It's so bad. It's genuinely the worst. Next we have, and it's not even because it's different. It's not even because this is the first season in a new age of Ninjago. It's just like really bad. Oh, my ears are unclogged. That's nice. Okay, just checking. Alright, next we have Prime Empire. Okay, I'm gonna say something really weird here, but like, I like Prime Empire, but it is also the most pointless season of Ninjago. Like, if there was ever a season I could point to as being a filler season, Prime Empire is that. This is just a regular season of Ninjago that just serves to be that, a regular season of Ninjago. It has no ties that lead to it playing a larger role. Like, there's nothing in this season that plays a larger role in the story in later seasons. There is no big character development here that isn't seen in later seasons. And there's nothing really cool here that you haven't seen in seasons before or after. Prime Empire is just a Ninjago season that exists. However, with that being said, I can't say that it's mid or mediocre. It's fun. Prime Empire is like a really fun season. It's just a fun kick your feet up season to enjoy. But at the same time, it is really mediocre. There is nothing about Prime Empire that ties it into the other stuff that makes it worth watching. You could legit skip this season and miss nothing. But again, as I said, it's like a really fun season, so I can't hate on it too much. So because there's not really many deep thoughts for me to give on Prime Empire, like the villain is just okay. Jay being the main character is kind of shoehorned into the last couple of episodes. Like, it's honestly kind of crazy how every character needs to be sidelined in order for Jay to have some actual development. Like, if you thought the writers hated Kai, they clearly just do not respect Jay in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, it's like, I don't know what else to say about Prime Empire. It exists. It's fun. You can watch it. It's fine. I'll put it above the pilots to season 2 because, as I mentioned, those are pretty good, but like they don't have much sauce to them. Prime Empire, for its faults, kind of has some sauce to it. There's at least a couple of episodes I can point to that are really good, but I mean, I don't know, it's in the same level as these guys, as these goobers, so yeah. Alright, up next we have Master of the Mountain. This one is really good. I like Master of the Mountain. I think it's a very good season. I love how it's very much D&D inspired. I love the fact that Cole finally gets some focus. This is the first true Cole-centric story we get. But it's also kind of very basic in its messaging. It just says, like Cole's lesson or the big moral he takes away is that do not be a bully and you must stand up and fight against all bullies. I would have never guessed that. I would have never assumed Cole for the last 13 seasons was fighting against bullies who are using their power to try and oppress others. This is such a novel concept to me. So yeah, the moral is like overly simplistic, but again, I like seeing Cole's story. And again, a lot of this season very much relies on emotional storytelling, so I can't hate it for that. I think it's a really good season. But again, the moral is just very basic. It's what holds it back. And some of the plot lines are just kind of low-key annoying. I did not like the Kai and Zane plotline with the dumb rhino and the geckos. And I did not care for the Jay and Nia plotline with the Munsets. You know, they like that stuff was just there to be filler. This season did not need to be as long as it was. But I do like the stuff with Cole, Wu, and Vanya. I think this was also another really good season of character development for Wu. I think he got some really good stuff this season. And learning to be a master again. And learning he still has a place in his students' lives. You know, despite them being basically fully trained at this point. And Spinjitzu Burst was really cool. So yeah, I like this season. I think it's really good. It's a very quintessential Ninjago season. Very fun for what it is. But nothing else. Nothing like spectacular about it. It's just really good for what it is. Right. The Island, Ninjago's second special. Okay, I will say, full disclosure, since I'm just kind of yapping into the void here. For the longest time, I was on the side of the Island being a season. I always wanted the Island to be a season. Just so I could say Ninjago ended on season 16, not on season 15. However, after being given some pretty irrefutable proof, there is no more fighting. I just kind of have to admit the Island is a special. So I'm going to say it on camera to y'all. The Island is a special. And I begrudgingly admit that. Tommy Andreasen very much said it's just a long episode. And Doc Wyatt himself later confirmed that they were writing Crystallized and calling it season 15 at the time of writing. So therefore the Island is, very much undoubtedly a special. Tommy said he stopped naming the seasons after season 9. But like it's very clear the seasons are still numbered. So... But even Netflix separates them. You know, it's kind of annoying. Even Lego calls the Island season 14. The parent company calls it season 14. But I'm going off what the writing team said, because the writing team are the creators. And I believe the creators at the end of the day. So the Island isn't a season, it's a special. Now, why were so many people calling it a season? Because of the release schedule. This is what annoys me about the Island. For one, I don't understand why they didn't mix the Island and Seabound. What was so wrong with making the Island and Seabound one season, one super long story? Is it because the Island doesn't focus on Nia? You could have just rewritten it to focus on Nia then. Why did you need this? But yeah, the Island is pretty whatever for what it is. It's a very mediocre season. Oh, wait, I was explaining the release schedule. The Island came out in different weeks. The first 2 episodes came out 1 week, and then the next 2 episodes came out the next week. So the episodes did release weekly. And on top of the episodes releasing weekly, The Island also came out 3 weeks before Seabound officially came out. Or was it leaked? I can't remember. But it also came out 2 weeks before Seabound came out. 3 weeks before the actual Seabound season came out. Therefore, everyone assumed, oh, okay, because the episodes are being released weekly, the season has its own unique intro, it makes sense that it's a season, right? And for a long time, yeah, half the fan base believed that The Island was a season. But again, because of the creator's notes, which I am taking into account for this video, I have to just call The Island a special. So for being Ninjago's second special, it's pretty mediocre. I even said as much in my original video. I did not like this special. There's nothing really interesting about it. I don't know why it's Lloyd-centric again, despite there, again, not even being much to do with Lloyd in this season. Like, he doesn't even learn any big lesson other than helping people. And that's it. There's not really much to say about this. It's a very, very lackluster special. I also hate what they did with Ronin. The character assassination of this Ronin in this season needs to be studied. Again, it's kind of incredible how people will complain about Lloyd's character being assassinated in Crystallized, or Ronin, being a goody, or him doing Ronin dirty in Crystallized, when they forget he was an a-hole in this season. He straight up blackmailed an entire culture. He tortured them for money. How are we all ignoring this? He traumatized them. What the hell? And you're letting this crap slide? And you're getting mad at Lloyd for getting mad at him? For being selfish? Y'all are basing your opinion on Ronin in these seasons, in season freaking 6 and 7. Base your opinion on Ronin on when we last saw him, you nitwits. God damn. I absolutely hate what The Island did with Ronin. With that said, the 2 good things I can say about The Island are, I like the animation. The animation is very colorful. They use purple really well in this season, and they use it really well again in Crystallized. And I love the suits. The suits in this season were hands down my favorite suits for the longest time, until Dragon's Rising Season 2 came along, in which case I don't want to play with you anymore, Island. So you're going into the failure tier. As for where, you're slightly better than Day of the Departed at the very least. I can say that. Maybe I can even say you're better than... Nah, they're not better. Hands of Time. Nah, I can't say that. The premiere of Hands of Time is too good. So yeah, that's where I put it. Yeah. Now, let's continue. Seabound. Oh, God. I have the biggest problem with Seabound ever. I don't know how to say it properly. Seabound, in my opinion, is one of the most overrated seasons of Ninjago ever. It is literally just season 1 again. But instead of snakes, we're fighting eels this time. That's the only difference. I will never understand people's love for Seabound so much. Maybe I should understand. You know why? Because it's literally doing season 1 again. And everyone loved season 1. So it makes sense that they'll be doing Seabound. But I just don't understand. Okay. Let's see the good things I like about Seabound. I like that it's a Nia-focused story. And again, it's really cool that we finally got a Nia-focused story. Only took 10 years for it to happen, and after Cole's story. But yeah, I like that it's a Nia-focused story, and I like how we actually get some actual character development on Nia, where she learns that not everything can go her way, and that sometimes a hard choice needs to be made. I think that's a really cool lesson for Nia to learn, especially considering that she was all about failure. Nia was someone who hated failure. This is something that was shown to us in season 5. So her being presented with a no-win situation and option, I really do like how this season shows that, if you want to win, you gotta make a sacrifice. And yeah, I love how sacrifice turned into the water spirit thing and defeating Wojira and becoming one of the sea. The fact that this season actually ends on a downer without bringing Nia back, it fixes the one thing everyone had a problem with Rebooted about. Well, aside from the love triangle at least. But it fixes a lot of people's biggest issue with Rebooted is that they brought Zane back way too quickly. And they didn't do that with Nia. They took their time and they actually bothered to end the season on the dour note it needed to end on. I think that was really cool. Everything else, though, is whatever. Kalma is basically just Python again. Down to both of them being purple and British. And, what's this? Wojira is just a great devourer again. I like that episode of Ninjago being underwater and Dareth and the ninja helping save civilians. I think that was really cool. But everything about the season was also just a lot of build-up with very little payoff to compare. I do like how we didn't have to go through the whole ritual of like bringing Rojira back. There was an entire episode dedicated to bring her back. It's just that once that Kalma gets the amulet, boom, she's back. Accept it now. I really like that. It's different than season 1. Where season 1 we had an entire episode dedicated to bring the Great Devourer back. In this season, it's just like, boom, she's here. Deal with it. I like that. And then we have an episode dedicated to the paper kids again. I love Nelson, but I'm sick and tired of entire episodes being dedicated to him. Kai gets benched again this season. I don't know. I don't love Seabound. I think it's very overrated. I don't think it's bad. There are parts of it, again, I really do like and I think are good. But it is. If you've seen season 1, you've seen Seabound. You know, I don't know if I want to say it's better. I feel like it is better than season 1 simply just based on an animation point of view on how the season ended, I think. It's better than season 1 in that regard alone, and it's not as cheesy as season 1, for example. But it's not great. I really cannot say it's a great season. Even Prime Empire, the most pointless Ninjago season ever, I'd rather rewatch it over Seabound. You know, that's how much I just don't respect Seabound. It is so overrated. I mean, you know, if you want to speak objectively, you could say Seabound is better than Prime Empire, but not for me, honey boo. I don't think Seabound is where it's at. I think it's a good Nia story, but I don't think it's a great Ninjago story, especially, again, since it's literally just copying the homework of another season. Very shamelessly. And again, it's crazy to me how so many people will hate on Crystallize for copying the plot points of other seasons, yet they praise Seabound for literally doing the exact same thing. I feel like I'm in crazy town. Alright, let's talk about Crystallize, shall we? Crystallize. Now, I want to say this about Crystallize. Long time ago, back in 2022, when I ranked the Ninjago seasons last, I put Crystallize as my 3rd favorite Ninjago season, right behind Skybound and Hunted. Now, this opinion has changed over time. There are a lot of things about Crystallize that I do acknowledge are serious flaws with the season and with the story in general that I just straight up don't like. However, with that said, it's not that I hate Crystallize so much that I'll put it down here. It's that I just like Crystallize a bit less. The hype has definitely worn off on me, and my eyes are a bit more fresh to what Crystallize actually is. With that said, let's talk about Crystallize and how the people talking about Crystallize just don't know what they're talking about in general. They're hating on it for no reason. Remember how I brought up all the problems with Secrets of Women's Ninjutsu? Some of those problems come back to Crystallize. People hate those problems with Crystallize, but they ignore them in Secrets. Seabound is just a redo of Season 1, and Crystallize is a redo of Season 2, essentially. Yet, people hate Crystallize for that. They say, oh, Crystallize is a shameless repetition of Season 2. It's so bad. Meanwhile, Seabound, which was a repetition of Season 1, is praised? Make it make sense. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff I really like about Crystallize. Brave but Foolish, I've been on record saying, is one of my favorite episodes of the show entirely. That fight between Wu and the Overlord was peak fiction. I love the exchange the two had. What else do I like about Crystallize? I like the apocalyptic arc, the arc of the Overlord temporarily taking over Ninjago. I like the Council of the Crystal King. I will admit they also wasted potential. We don't really utilize them that well. But I will say this much: they're way better than the team in the Day of the Departed. I will stand by this and I will die by it. I do not care what you nostalgia heads say. The team in Day of the Departed sucked booty. The one in Crystallize was so much better. I know y'all love to hate Crystallize, but it's just the truth. Lloyd's character was, I want to say this into the mic perfectly, not ruined. Again, Lloyd's character was not ruined in Crystallize. So his character rating was fine. What do I hate about Crystallize though? There's a lot of stuff I actually kind of don't like about Crystallize. For one, I don't like what they did with Nia. It's not that I'm mad that they brought Nia back. Obviously, we needed Nia back for the finale. But what I do hate is, A, how quickly they brought her back. Right? I feel like there should have been another season. If you ask me, there really should have been another season in between Seabound and Crystallize that focused on the ninja bringing Nia back and going to jail. Crystallize proper then starts with the ninja in jail, breaking out, dealing with the Overlord, so on and so forth, right? However, because Crystallize is just Crystallize, it feels like the story of 2 seasons smooshed into one. And as such, the season rushes to bring Nia back. And when they bring Nia back, they give her this dumb, powerless arc, which is like, I'm nothing without my powers. And then, I hate to admit it, but the mechanic proves her right. I hate that the season doesn't prove her wrong and say, no, she can be a cool character without her powers, or a hero without her powers. Instead, they have the mechanic straight up tell her, the sexist mind you tell her, you are nothing without your powers. And she's like, you're right, I'm nothing without my powers. Oh, I now have the motivation to get my powers back and kick your butt with them. It annoys me to no end that the villain was proven right. And I can't defend against that because it's plain as day. They legit said, you are mad at the ninja because they failed to stop the Great Devourer. Not because you thought they released the Great Devourer. There's a difference here. You still think that ninja are not real heroes, Harumi. We should be on that same page, Harumi. Hate it. Yeah. Everything to do with Harumi this season, I straight up hate it. And it does drag down the quality of the season a bit. And as I mentioned, Crystallize does have a pacing problem where it feels like 2 seasons smushed in one. There are way too many storylines this season. There's we have to get Nia back storyline, there's a prison storyline, there's the escape storyline, which is kind of tied with the prison storyline, there's the Overload Apocalypse storyline, and then we have the finale. 5 storylines in this season, by the way. 30 episodes. That's way too much. They definitely should have cut something out. If you ask me, I think they should have just cut out the ninja going to prison storyline. There were easier ways to bring Python into the narrative than having the ninja go to prison and meet him. And I understand why they had to go to prison so they could bring Ronin and the Sons of Gamadon in to help at the end battle. But like, if you ask me, we just straight up did not need that. They could have just shown up the same way Rei and Maya showed up at the end. We did not need to build them up to show up. Ninjago has had characters appear for no reason before. We could have just had them also appear for no reason here. It's whatever. Yeah, if you ask me, we could have just cut out the prison storyline. Have the Nia storyline. Even the new ninja were kind of wasted in this season. I get that they were meant to show that, oh yeah, nothing can compare to our old ninja. But like, the new ninja just do basically nothing. You know, they eat up time is all they do. Time that this season just did not have. Again, 2 seasons. This season should have just been 2 seasons. I get why Ninjago wanted to end on season 15. But if you ask me, making 2 16-episode seasons would have done wonders for the story and given it enough time to breathe. With that said, those are my major complaints on Crystallize. Oh, I forgot to mention my major complaints on season 8 were that the ninja was severely underpowered, getting their butts handed to them by crooks. And I also hated how, what was another thing I hated about season 8? Crap, I forgot. Dang it! Why am I forgetting? I will get another chance to record this. Please remember why you hated season 8. Too much change too fast, ignoring the law. Can't remember. Either way, so because of that, I don't hate Crystallize. I do acknowledge it has some flaws. I still think it's severely overhated. People hate on Crystallize just to hate. But I can't say it's the best Ninjago season anymore. Or at the very least, it's a top tier Ninjago season. It's good, but we ain't there yet, Chief. Right. Alright, well, it's clear none of these seasons are going to appear, so let's just delete that. There we go. Right, now let's talk about Dragons Rising, the sequel show. I have a lot of thoughts about Dragons Rising that I've made 2 videos on. I've made 2 videos on Dragons Rising on my channel. But I never got to talk about season 1. So I want to talk about season 1 real quick, just to give my quick thoughts out of the way. My voice is dying, I'm getting tired, so let's just get this done. I think Dragons Rising is the example of a perfect soft reboot. This is how you do a soft reboot right, and how you treat an IP with respect. And if anything, much like Sons of Gamadon, I even think I wrote down some notes for why I love Dragons Rising Season 1 so much. Yep. This is why I call Dragons Rising a perfect soft reboot. And I also compared it to Star Wars. I just want to read these notes out so that you know what I'm talking about here. Why I consider Dragons Rising to be the perfect soft reboot. It puts in a new status quo that the old series didn't have, allowing us to explore new concepts. Dragons Rising isn't Ninjago season. Rising literally begins with the world ending and being reborn with a bunch of new lands added to it. That is really freaking cool, and it's a risk that the old Ninjago would have never done. Let's face it, guys. By the time we got to Secrets and Prime Empire, the formula was getting stale. The Ninjago formula was getting really stale, and it's clear the show was on its last legs, not knowing really what to do with itself. Dragons Rising gave this show the breath of fresh air it needed. And how did they do it? By completely upending the status quo. By separating the ninja, by making us think that some of them were dead, and by completely destroying the world and rebuilding it from the ground up while still keeping the elements we love from the old world. That was beautiful. You've created a new playground to play in while still respecting the story that came before. Dragons Rising now makes Ninjago feel like a true fantasy world where literally anything can happen and you have these heroes who are trying to protect their home. The opening of Dragon's Rising is actually like really so good because of this. It is such a good and strong start to the series. I really appreciate the fact the directors dove headfirst into creating a new status quo and not wanting to be tied down by the constrictions of the old series. And who knows, now that they've changed the status quo, who's to say they can't change it again once they're done with Dragon's Rising? There is so much to do. The playground that they created is so freaking big, we still haven't explored all the realms. We are 3 seasons in, 60 episodes deep, and we are still discovering new worlds to play in. That is how good Dragon's Rising is. Oh, I also love another point I wrote is that the new characters are introduced by the old characters. So, unlike most reboots or sequel series that start with a new cast of characters immediately, and we have to get attached to these new characters, and then we have to build up to meeting the old characters, and when the old characters finally show up, it's an event, like a big cinematic event. They show up in a cameo from out of the shadows. The old characters are just there, the old characters are introduced to us. The new characters introduced to us through the old characters. I kind of like this. Look, don't get me wrong. I like it when a sequel series or legacy series does use an old character as a cameo. Kind of like how Legend of Korra did it. Legend of Korra introduced Toph just like in its final season. She just like steps out of the shadows like, miss me. I like that, right? But at the same time, I kind of just like it when the old characters are just kind of around, just doing their own thing. Kind of like, again, Katara in season 1 of Korra. Dragon's Rising does this perfectly as well by just having the old characters around. Despite the merge happening and despite the world really getting split into like a bajillion pieces and reformed that way, we do get to see a lot of the old characters. Episode 1 ends with Lloyd meeting Aaron and Sora, and after an entire episode hanging out with Aaron and Sora, you just get like this cheer-worthy moment when Lloyd shows up. I don't even know why we're cheering. We saw Lloyd earlier in the episode. He saved Aaron in like the first minute of the episode. Him showing up at the end should not like surprise anyone. Yet the way he shows up in his heroic way to save Aaron and Sora, it's so cool. It's such a heroic move to pull. And again, it's an interesting way to get the old characters to introduce the new characters so you can see them bounce off each other, which is what we see in the next episode. So I really like that. And again, we get to see a lot more characters. We get to see Wildfire, we get to see Frack, who again all introduced by the old characters. Sort of. I also like how the OG characters are in different places and scenarios in life while still retaining parts of what we loved about them. So, kind of like what most sequel series do, we want to see how the old characters we grow attached to are living their lives. Let me bring Legend of Korra in again. So, we ended the last Airbender, we ended Avatar The Last Airbender with the war finally over and all our friends just living life and enjoying themselves, right? In Legend of Korra, we jump like 70 years in the future and we want to be like, okay, let's see how our favorite characters are doing. How are they enjoying life? Katara has gone back to live in the South Pole. Aang is dead. Sokka is dead. Toph is living in the swamp. And they all have children. Katara has her children, Tenzin, Bumi, and Kaya. Tenzin now trying to raise a new air nation. And then we have Toph's children, one of whom is a police chief. We get to see how these characters move on in life through where they are. Ninjago kind of does this as well. With the merge, we get to see our characters just wake up in completely different places. Cole wakes up in the land of lost things. Kai wakes up in the land of monsters. Nia wakes up in Realm of Madness. Jay wakes up in... Not to mention, because this show takes place years later, and the story starts with these established characters living their lives years later, we get to get this sense of maturity from them. These ninja are basically at the top of their game. They're fully trained ninja at this point. And they're just trying to like do things the best way they know how by keeping the order. I don't know how to explain it, but I just really like seeing where our characters are now. And the last point I wrote was that with the merge, the writers are allowed to bring in, postpone, or completely ignore plot threads that were iffy or controversial in the OG show. One of the best things of that happened to Dragon's Rising coming out, or one of the best things that Dragon's Rising was able to do coming out, sorry, let me just rephrase. One of the best things Dragon's Rising was able to do after coming out right after Crystallized was that it was able to push aside any controversial or problematic story beats that they didn't want to address until later on. Misako and Garmadon, they're still missing. We don't need to deal with them right now because it's clear they're going to be important later in the story. Harumi, people didn't like Harumi in Crystallized. Let's bench her for now. We don't need to revisit her and we don't need to know where she is right now. Jay's parents, these are characters that the new audience would not care about, so we can bench them. That's what I like, is that this series is very much approachable to both old and new audiences. It's approachable to all audiences, of course, because it's continuing the Ninjago story, but it's also approachable to new audiences, where they just get thrown into this world that's just pure fantasy, and obviously they have to get attached to Aaron, Sora, and Wildfire, so that they can know how the story progresses. We'll also gain to know who the old ninja are bit by bit, and gain involved in their stories. I like that. Dragons Rising, I just can't believe it exists, and I can't believe it's this good. It is such a perfect sort of reboot, and I do think it's better than the Star Wars sequel trilogy, because I had to write a point about it here. I say Star Wars fails at all of these except the introduction of new characters. It worked there because so much time had passed since the prequels. Giving us new characters right away brings in new fans with no strings or homework attached, and raises intrigue for the old fans to know who they are. So yes, basically, aside from introducing new characters, the Star Wars sequel trilogy fails at everything Dragons Rising tried to do. Dragons Rising is how you create a new IP that brings in new audiences while respecting the old audiences and the old story, and continuing the story in a natural way, while also building upon the world that came before, not ignoring it. Just because people didn't like Crystallize doesn't mean Dragons Rising ignores Crystallize. Yeah, because much of Crystallize, well, what happened in Crystallize isn't brought up, but Dragons Rising clearly still respects it on some levels for still ending the original Ninjago story, and I think that's commendable. So yeah, my opinion on Dragons Rising Season 1 has changed a lot, just for it to exist. It's kind of like how Sons of Gamadon, my opinion changed on Sons of Gamadon just for Sons of Gamadon existing. My opinion has changed on Dragons Rising for existing. I do like it a bit more than Sons of Gamadon, and I will say I'm going to put it at the end of S tier. So that's where Dragons Rising is going to stay for now. Season 1 at least. Then we have Season 2. Oh my god, I love Season 2 of Dragons Rising. It is borderline perfect. Part 1 of Season 2 has got to be one of my favorite Ninjago storylines since Hunted. I love the fact that the ninja lose early on in the season, and they have to go somewhere to learn how to train so they can beat the villain in the end. It's a bit like Season 5. However, unlike Season 5, there's no dumb villain to hold it down. Cinder is just an evil villain for the sake of it. He has no remorse for his actions. I do wish we got a bit more depth on him and a bit more on his backstory. That kind of does bug me a bit. But I do like that Cinder very much is just a villain through and through. I love Ras being a villain as well. I love the build-up to the Forbidden Five. I love the fact that Kai is the first one to learn Dragons Rising. You know how cool that is? We got a ninja who's the first to learn everything. We got Jay, who was the first to learn Spinjitzu. Zane was the first to unlock his true potential. Cole was the first to unlock Spinjitzu Burst. And now my boy Kai, my special fire boy Kai, is the first to unlock Dragons Rising. Rising Dragon. That finale episode was just beautiful. I have no complaints against it. Lloyd kicking the crap out of Raz. Kai getting sacrificed just broke my heart. Cole reuniting Ninja. It's so good. It's so good. Dragons Rising Season 2 Part 1 is just hands down one of the best Ninjago stories out there. No questions asked. Part 2 is a lot weaker, but not so much that it drags down the entire season for me. It's just weaker in comparison. Season 2 is very much like Season 4. It's another tournament. However, unlike Season 4, this one is a pure tournament. Like, it's a full tournament beginning to end. The first episode is about the ninja learning about the tournament, and the last episode is about the ninja actually winning the tournament, not just treating the tournament as a sham like they did with Chen stuff. Well, like, they figured out the tournament was a scam, and then we actually got no real winner at the end. This season does have a real tournament winner. It's who you think it is. And I really like that. I love the suits from the tournament era, by the way. The suits in the second half of the season were just peak. I love the final episode with Kai going against Noct. It was just beautiful. I also like the intrigue of Wu creating the merge, Aaron turning on the ninja. There was a lot of subversive storytelling in Season 2 that I just really freaking enjoyed. It is so good. Like, Season 2 alone is worth watching Dragons Rising for. So, with all that and more, I give Season 2 the flowers it deserves. It is, hands down, the best Dragons Rising story we've gotten so far. I don't even know why they cooked so hard with it, but they did, and I love them for that. Right, now we have the newest season so far, Dragons Rising Season 3. I have mixed feelings on Dragons Rising Season 3. I have the same feelings on Dragons Rising Season 3 that I kind of almost do for Prime Empire, in a way. Dragons Rising Season 3 is the most quintessential Ninjago season. It is the most ordinary Ninjago season you can come across. If you wanted to give someone a crash course as to what Ninjago is all about, show them Season 3. It's got everything. It's got the dumb fetch quests. It's got the dumb weapons. It's got a big bad monster at the end that they have to fight. They've got the minion villains who they have to face, who are basically generals. Season 3 is a very basic Ninjago season. I will say this, let's just get this out of the way. The Forbidden Five are just big disappointments. They are like high-key, the most ultra biggest disappointments we've gotten in terms of villains in Ninjago. And I say this as someone who doesn't like Kalma or Asphira or Nagami, as villains. But the Forbidden Five are very big disappointments. Reason being is that they don't really get much to do. We don't get any iconic lines from any of them. We don't, they don't drop any hard lines. We don't get any cool feats from them outside of Drix and Noct. And again, they just kind of stand around doing Thunder Thing's business. They feel less like seasonal villains and more like generals. They feel more along the lines of characters like Crypto and General Kozu. Then they do really love them rekindling their spark. But I also have some issues. I don't like how Cole was handled this season. I absolutely hate how Zayn was handled this season. Zayn was just done dirty. Zayn was so disrespected in this season. I also don't like Thunder Thing. I'm not gonna lie, Thunder Thing was kind of disappointing. He's better than the Forbidden Five as a villain, but like he's hella disappointing. He's just a big bad monster villain who wants power. There is nothing else to him. He is a very shallow villain. Cool lore, boring character. So that's my thoughts on Thunder Thing. I don't have strong opinions on him as a villain. Like even Beatrix had a bigger stamp on the series as a villain than Thunder Thing. So yeah. Overall, I think Season 3 of Dragons Rising is a very regular season. I don't hate it. There's a lot of cool stuff I like about it. Season 3 feels very much like hype moments and aura at times. I will say though, the Lee storyline, the Lee plotline in Part 2 was like really good. Lee's storyline in Part 2 was just like so freaking good. I love Lee as a character. I love Lee as a villain. And I love the cliffhanger at the very end of the season where the ninja end up separated and trapped in different dimensions. This is something we've only seen before in Hunted, where Sons of Gamadon ended with the ninja being trapped in another realm. So they kind of borrowed Sons of Gamadon's ending, but I really do like with the ninja being separated. And the drama will come from that. And it's a natural way to write different storylines. Hopefully they learn how to pace better with Season 4 than Season 3. Season 3 had a horrible pace. I'm not even going to lie to you. Season 3 had like some of the worst pacing I've seen in a hot while. So hopefully Season 4 will learn that it's okay to bench characters for a couple of episodes. So with that said, Season 3 is hands down the weakest Dragons Rising season. I think it's a season that a lot of people just really don't like and almost really hate from Dragons Rising for whatever reason. But, you know, I like it. I still think it's good. Just not as good as it could have been. So with that said, I think I'll put it, it's better than Master of the Mountain. It's better than Rebooted. The question is, do I think it's better or worse than Crystallized? Let's see. I'm going to do a count on my fingers. Crystallized, I really like the fight with Wendy Overlord. I like the Apocalypse arc. I like Lloyd's characterization. And yeah, I like Aaron. I like Lee. I like the finale of Part 1. Part 2 was mostly good, I guess. I like Garmadon in Crystallized, even though he's so problematic. Like the fights in Season 3 are good. The fights in Dragons Rising Season 3 are some of the best fights, aside from Season 2. Season 2 still has the best fights in my opinion. But the fights in Dragons Rising Season 3 are some of the best fights the series has seen. Like when they're fighting, like be it they're fighting a giant monster of the Forbidden Five, Ninja like can throw hands. And I really love how we get to see them throw some serious hands in this season. But I think I'll put Dragons Rising Season 3 over Crystallized simply because of the Lee storyline and the work they did on Aaron. The work they did on Aaron is way better than the work they did on Lloyd and Crystallized. So I don't feel bad for switching them. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is now my new updated proper list for the Ninjago seasons. I'm not fully happy with it. I don't like that there's 4 tiers. They probably should have been a 5th tier somewhere. And I feel like Seabound, the pilots to Seabound should be in their own tier, because I do like the other stuff slightly better, but it's fine. I think this is fine enough to submit. So yeah, there we go. That's my tier list, guys. And my voice is shot and I am dead. I think I've been recording for like 2 hours as of now. So I'm tired. Anyways, guys, these are my thoughts on the Ninjago seasons. These are my rankings of them from best to worst. So from best to worst, it is Hunted, Dragons Rising Season 2, Skybound, Possession, Tournament of Elements, Dragons Rising Season 1, Sons of Gamadon, Dragons Rising Season 3, Crystallized, which is still in my top 10, by the way. Because remember, Crystallized used to be in my top 3. And I was like, oh no, do I hate Crystallized? Is that my top 10? No, it's not my top 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's in 9th place, guys. It's like we can chill. Then Rebooted. Then, do I like it better Rebooted? Yeah, there's some stuff about it I like. There's definitely stuff of Crystallized I like better than Rebooted. Guys, trust me. I'm not saying this just to be different. I do like Crystallized. As much as I acknowledge its flaws, I do like Crystallized. I mean, worst case scenario is I switch him. That's really the only thing. I know it's not worse than Master of the Mountain, but like worst case scenario is I switch him. This is like how I put Crystallized and Rebooted. I do like the Overload in Crystallized a bit better than he was in Rebooted. I like the Crystal King persona more than the Golden Master persona. Though I do love the idea of the Golden Master more. But Crystal King was executed better in my opinion. So we'll just leave it like that for now. Rebooted, then Master of the Mountain, Macho Leone, Prime Empire, Seabound, Legacy of the Green Ninja, Rise of the Snake.